So, are we streaming? Says I'm live. Oh, there we go. Alright. Starting off this video well. So, hey everyone, this is GeoWill from Productions², and we are back to continue our live stream plugin creation craziness that I've been doing recently. So, last time we left off, I had done a bunch of stuff, and we had gotten to the point to where we were at, we'd gotten all this done, basically, and I was starting to work on this other stuff. So, things away. Okay. So, what I've been doing the past, I think it's been 2 days since I did the last one, was putting in the new stuff for restricted and replace. So it's kind of a refresher on what these are supposed to do. An armor or weapon that's equipped that has a restricted attribute on the restrictions note tags basically will only allow you to change to any class you already know, and that class specifically. So those are the two conditions that the restricted tag imposes. If you don't have a restricted attribute on the tag note tag for that class, then what will happen is that the armor or weapon or armor plural and weapons will just be a regular requirement. Now for replace, it's a little bit different. For replace, you don't actually see the armor or the weapon in the requirements tab unless you have it equipped. So what this does is it essentially says, okay, there's this class, it has some requirements, but if you have this item and you have it equipped, so if you have this armor or weapon and it's equipped, you can bypass those requirements and just go right and be able to change right to the class right away. So that means that with that equipped, with the item with the replace tag equipped, any other requirements are ignored basically, except for gender. Gender is still respected in both of these cases, restricted and replace. But the other ones are ignored for replace. What other notes? Let's see. So let me just kind of go. This is kind of an interesting kind of insight into how I do really complicated BS like this, when I have to like kind of destroy my brain in order to figure it out. But so I was trying to figure out how to do this restricted thing, because I mean it's kind of crazy how it works, and I'll get to show you the coder in a second, which has become so frigging just I don't know. I have no clue how I'm gonna refactor it now, because it's just so messed up. Not really messed up, but it's neededly complex, not needlessly, but it's required complexity because of this crap, and it's just annoying. Anyway, so the idea was, okay, we have this restricted tag, and if a piece of equipment, an armor or weapons is equipped that has that tag, then, and it's the class has that restricted tag for that armor or weapon, then that class should close all the other classes to you, unless you already have bin them, and 2, only allow you to change to that class and those other classes. Then the third thing is, though, you have to consider is that, okay, let's say we have a bunch of different classes that we're using this with a bunch of different equipment. And we happen to have a piece of equipment equipped from those classes in all 4 slots. Now, I say 4 because you can only have maximum 4 equipment. You can either have 2 weapons, a headgear, and some armor, or you can have a weapon, a shield, armor, and a headgear. So you can only have 4 equipment maximum. So that means you can have up to 4 restricted classes maximum. So I had to think about how to handle that. So the best way I could think of was to say, okay, let's say we have this one class. Loadout would be, we have a loadout which has weapons that have a bunch of classes that are tied to them, basically. So the sword is tied to a fighter, the shield's tied to knight, helm is a ranger, and the breastplate's tied to a lord knight. So this object array, whatever you want to call it, that I've created called restricted class list will then have a key of the class ID. Inside of the value, though, we're going to have another object array. And it's going to be weapons or armor, or weapons and armor, depending on what's going on with it, as you'll see down here. And then inside of that, we'll have a key that's a list, an array of weapon IDs or armor IDs. So in this case here, we have the sword fighter. The sword's ID is 1s, and it's in the weapon since it's a weapon. We have the shields, part of armor, ID is 1. Helm, which is for the ranger. So ranger ID, armor ID 4. And then the lord knight ID, armor ID 10. And then the way we would access that is then we'd have the class, we'd have the list, restricted class list, we'd have the class ID, and then we'd pull out the weapons or the armor ID array using this or armor. Now let's consider this one. So in this one we have a sword and a shield that are both tied to the fighter class, helm is a ranger, and the breastplate is a lord knight. In this case you'll have the exact same setup as this, except for the fighter ID, you have a weapons key value pair and an armor key value pair. So in this case, we have 2 conditions here to check, and we still have the normal ones there. Ignore this because this has all been fixed, and it was actually really simple to fix this stuff, even though I thought it was going to be crazy hard to fix it. It was just like a improper condition on 2 if statements to fix both these issues. So I was thinking, okay, I'm going to have to go through this code, pull it apart, reprogram it, and take a day to fix it, and it took 2 minutes. So this is kind of what I was had to go through. I couldn't. A lot of times when I'm thinking or when I'm dealing with a really complicated issue, I just can't talk or think myself around it enough to figure out how it should look. So I do something like this, where I list down, okay, what do we need to do? What are the things to consider? And then type out an example, and then an example of what that example should produce with the code, the pseudocode or the pseudo logic that I have up above in the requirements says. So that's what all this is. Now let's talk about the code. The code is a little bit insane, because the idea is a little bit insane. Actually, just do that. First of all, this is the old code that I then replaced because I decided to go a different way with the required weapons and required armor. They're no longer, since we're going to create an object kind of thing, I figured, okay, I'll make those object array too. I could just object list, whatever you want to call those things. And then we can just use regular, easier ways of dealing with them that way, as you can see. So, we have pretty much everything is the same, except we have some extra calls here and there to deal with some problems and some other issues that popped up because of where the stuff's being called at and how it was being called. For example, what was happening at first was that I was calling this in here, and because of that, it wasn't actually working correctly. It was working on every class instead of the specific class it was supposed to work for. Or rather, it wasn't loading all the classes, it was loading them over and over and over again. So you'd get the same one, and it wasn't working properly, basically. So I had to move it outside of this to fill it first with everything, and then we'd check over it in this thing every time because it's the only way to make it work that I've found so far that made any sense when I was working on it. So we're going through this thing. Well, I guess I'll show you that code first. It's down here in this new thing here. So what we're doing now is not that one, this one. I think it's this one. It's not that one. Where are you? This, okay. So we have our var rex because we just want to get it ourselves and not pass it through. Basically do it fresh in here. Then we want to we have a temporary array 1 and 2, each for the 2 types of things we're dealing with, so weapons and armor. Then the temp object, which is then assigned to the restricted class list. So then we're going through basically what we're doing up here with this which is why I was trying to do it in here, because we had to do something similar to this. Didn't want to do it again. I wanted to do it in this, but it wouldn't work in this because of the way it's supposed to work, or the way I decided to make it work. So we're basically doing this twice now, which is bloody annoying, but it's how it works now. Going through it, we're checking to make sure that Rex actually has a length, and if it does, then we are doing another one of these deals like we are up here. Just checking weapons and armor, though. So the first thing we're checking for is restricted. Well, we're just checking restricted because that's all we care about here. Up here, we're checking for... I guess actually it's not here. But I'll get into what I changed up here in a bit. But we're checking for this new restricted tag, which is part of the armor requirement tag now, or weapon requirement tag. So how this now works is up here. So I changed this too a bit. Is that we're actually building out more of a key value pair kind of thing with weapons and armor, based on what we have here. So, for example, since we're only expecting there to be at most 4 tag parts, I guess you can say, 4 attributes for a weapon or armor tag note tag. Either we're expecting the weapon part, we're expecting the ID, then we're expecting either restricted, or we're expecting replace, or we're expecting restricted and replace. But to be honest, well, no, yeah, because of course the question that, well, that might actually break it if you do both at once, because if you do replace then skips the class part. So I guess you couldn't really do replace and restricted at the same time. So maybe we could take the second one off of here, because this will never work the way that you might think it will if you use both. It'll just default to replace because that's checked first in the code down below. But we're doing that for armor and for weapons. So back down here. Oh wow, I managed to stop at the right place. Almost. So back down here, we're going through, we're checking all this stuff out. We're seeing if there's a restricted tag and if it's set to true. If it exists, it'll be true, but we just need to check that anyway because, stuff can happen, and it's better to be more defensive than not be defensive and have something explode because you didn't add one check that's easy to add and doesn't really cost that much in terms of processing power. And then we just push that in to the temp object, or rather to the temporary 1 or 2, depending on what we're looking at. And we're just pushing in the ID specifically. So we're using armor ID or weapon ID. Then after that's done, if the temporary 1 or temporary 2 have elements, we're pushing those into the restricted class list class ID. The reason we're doing this is because we want to push in the weapons object and an empty array key, so that we can just populate the key like this. I found it was easier than doing whatever I was doing before, like creating an empty object and then empty object with like the key to whatever, then setting that to the whatever the object I wanted to use was later on. This is just a little bit faster. One less line of code. So then once that's done, we go through the regular stuff, and everything else pretty much executes the same until we get down to this. As you can see, we have a lot more checks here. Not a lot more checks, but we have more checks, and this is something I thought about. Literally, I was awake at night. I couldn't go to sleep because I was thinking about this damn thing. After I finished the last stream, thinking about, well, if we're doing this, and we're just using that one check, the original check, the bcan player class change or whatever it is check, it won't really work because then it'll be set to true or false depending on what things are going on, and if gender is true and weapons not or whatever, it would get reset and turn to false, and all kinds of like crazy scenarios were flying through my mind. I just couldn't get to sleep, so I came back over and worked on this little change. But what I did was I created new checks for each of the types. So there's a class check, there's an armor check, there's a weapon check, there's a gender check. And in each section, we're setting that to true or false. And then once we're done with all of that, we're checking all those down here. And if everything is passed, then we're saying true, and if not, false. Now, when doing this, though, we also have to be mindful, like, if there's no item requirements, we have to set the item check to true, otherwise it won't work. And that's what these are for here. The other ones we have are this weapon armor class override. So this is if there's a replace tag. And then there's, where's the other one? B class is restricted. This is if there's a restriction tag, or what a restricted tag. So what'll happen is it'll go through these and it'll see if there's a replace tag. Now, if the replace tag exists, it'll set this to true. Weapon armor class override. And so what if we have the armor but not the weapon, or the weapon and not the armor? Because you can still, with the replacement tag, you can have multiple items equipped that have that replacement tag. And they'll be part of the requirements. So, like, say you have a class that requires you to have a specific shield and a specific sword, for example. So if we have this, it'll go through this, it'll turn it to false, and it'll do the regular... Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that'll work that way. I haven't tested all the scenarios, but when I was testing it for some of them, I figured that the way it was working, it would work for everything that I wanted it to work for, so I think that'll work that way. We'll check it out. But what it does, it checks for replace. If true, it sets this to true. Now, the only thing that changes is how this rest of this code executes. So if, and if we skip the class processing. So if it's true, then we're just going to set the class check to true, and we're going to set item check to pass, because the item and class will be overridden by this thing. If it's equipped, if that weapon is equipped. Ew, okay. Let's make sure that we're setting this to false down here. So we're setting it to true here, and then it's false down here. We need to reset this to false, otherwise it'll cause a problem. Actually, both of them. We need to reset them both to false. Whoops, what did I do? I hit X instead of C. So, if equipped, else... So the else if equipped, if this is true. Web check passed is true, but we need to set these to false. That wouldn't really be a case of where we need to change them here. It would be in armor specifically, but I'm going to do them here too because, again, defensive programming is for the win most of the time. And then this. So we're just saying that if we have a weapon that has replace on it and we have it equipped, and it changes these two to true, and then we come down here to weapon and we see, okay, we have a weapon that has replace, or the current class has a required armor that has a replace tag, but we don't have it equipped. So we have the weapon equipped but not the armor. So what will happen is that we'll turn this to false. Before we return this to false, set armor check to true, and then it would automatically... Well, it wouldn't automatically do it. I mean, it might automatically go through and say, okay, redo these, change them to false down below, but I'd rather change them to false here because it just makes more sense. If they're changed to true when you have it equipped, they should be changed to false when you don't have it equipped, even if code later on would change them to false anyway if you didn't have those. Like, it's just a way to kind of protect against weirdness going on. Trust me, I've seen all kinds of weirdness going on with code before, so maybe we won't need that when I go back there and refactor, but for now I'm going to put it in. Alright. No, I don't want to purchase. So, now, database. What I'm going to do is we're going to have this replace. We'll leave it like this, and then we'll do a weapon as well to check that. So I have these different classes here. So I've added the restricted tag to the dancer class for weapon 28. And there's also an armor with no restricted tag. Then we have this super ultimate class, which has got all this stuff and has essentially double weapon, double armor set up for requirements for testing that. Then we have this, which is basically 5 classes that are testing the restricted. So this is like what I was telling you about, testing for the maximum number of classes you could have restricted at once. So we have 2 weapons, a shield, and 2 pieces of armor, headgear and body armor. And so that'll test that, and then we have the one replace here, and we'll test this for armor, and then we'll test it with weapon and armor, having the armor equipped and the weapon not equipped, or weapon equipped, armor not equipped. And we'll see how that all works. Okay, we'll save this and start. Alright. So first off, let's go ahead and take a look at what we have here. So currently, Pelto can change to all the stuff he should be able to change to. He's currently a mage, so he can turn back to novice. We have novice 20 and mage 31, so we can do all the starting classes, well, tier 1 classes and the wizard tier 2 class. And then we have the other classes down here, which are all locked off. So as you can see, this is the super ultimate class. Has all the different requirements there. Now if we take a look at replace, it'll just say the class that you need, because technically what's happening with replacement is that the weapons and armor that have a replace tag are essentially saying, okay, if you have this, you can become this class even if you don't meet the other requirements. You're replacing the existing requirements with the equipment that you have equipped. And these are just the tests for the restricted classes. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to test the restricted classes. I'm just going to go ahead and equip Pelto with everything. So, well, not everything. We'll do test 1. Actually, test. Okay, they actually changed them both to dual wield. That's why. Let me fix that. I knew there was a reason I didn't change the second one to dual wield, but then I decided, okay, we'll do it anyway. No, weapon. Test 2, not dual wield. Alright. Because we have to have one that's not dual wield, so we can also test with the shield. If you equip test 1, it automatically allows you to equip test 2, but test 2 will just allow you to equip the shield, not another weapon. You'll see what I mean here in a second. Let's grab that stuff again. So equip. So if I equip test 1, this becomes a weapon slot, and I can just do this. Now, if I equip test 2, it's still a shield, so we can still do that. So that's what we'll do. We'll do this one first. Test 3, test 5, and test 4. Alright, so now if I go talk to this person, I should have access to every test restricted class except for the first one. So now you can see all these other classes are not, can't change them anymore because they've been locked off by the restricted equipment that we have equipped. And now we have access to all these restricted classes, except for restricted class 1. Of course, I do have to fix. That's right. There's one problem. For whatever reason, this isn't being cleared when we're doing a restricted class, so I'll need to check that. And the movement of the items isn't changing. I forgot about that. If I change to this class, I can still change to the other classes, and I can change back to the class that I was, Mage and Novice. I just can't change to anything new, so I can't change to a class I should be able to change to, like Wizard, because it's closed off from that one. And here you can see that issue I was talking about. The other issue besides this not being displayed correctly. And I can change to any of these classes. Now currently, if I take off that equipment, I'll still be able to change to the restricted classes because of how the system works. Not sure if I want to change that or not, because that's, again, some more complexity into what's already become super complex code. But if I wanted to, I could say, okay, unless you have these items equipped, you can't become these classes. So it'd be clear. And now all these classes are open again, including restricted class 2 and 5, since I already have them. So if I change if I change to Wizard, for example, I can still change back to 5. Now let's say that I have that that weapon equipped. The one that's a dual wield weapon. Oh wait, that's right, I gotta change back to novice because it's all general armor. Or novice or mage or something. It's all general weapons and armor, so it's one thing. That's another thing. When you change to a restricted class, make sure the type of weapon you have that's those weapons that are being restricted, or that are part of that class as a restricted weapon or armor, you're also able to wear them when you change to that restricted class. Otherwise, you'll be unequipped to that stuff and everything will be unlocked again. So, test 1, test 2, 5, and 4. So now I'll have access to test 1, but not test 2. No. Test 1, but not test 3? Whatever the shield one was. Yeah, so I don't have access to this one now, because I don't have the test 3 class. So it looks like if you can't access it, it works, but if you can change to it, it doesn't. The spacing. It's interesting. So now let's test this one. So let's go back to equipment, clear everything. Equip, suck weapon 1, suck weapon 2. And yes, the suck is intentional. That's why I call it super ultimate class. Alright, so we have all the equipment that are part of the requirements. And we have the mage level 20 and the novice level 10. So we can change to this class, but it's not pushing everything over. So that's another example. And then we also, though, have access to... Oh, that's because these are equipped. Right. Or we've changed these already, that's why. So that's an example of how you can use every armor to do something there. It actually will work that way, too. And finally, the replacement class. Let's go ahead and equip. Clear... That was a... what class? I can't remember which weapon it was. Armor 25. Test 6, okay. Oh, wait. I don't think I actually gave it. No. I had used test 5 before. I just created a new armor for it. Let's go ahead and have myself give it to myself. This is annoying. For whatever reason, Steam will just like interject into here. Okay, there we go. Sometimes. Alright, so now it should work. Or rather, it should give us what we need. So now this is going to be an example of how that when we equip that armor, even though we don't have Brawler level 10, we'll be able to change to that class. If we have it equipped. Keep it there. If we don't have it equipped, then it'll still say Brawler 10, like it was showing earlier. But when we equip it, the Brawler level 10 requirement will vanish and it'll just show the test 6 item requirement. It's a shield. So now if we go check this, we can change to it now, because all we need is this. Now if I just come back and unequip it, and it's locked off again because we have to be Brawler level 10. That's an example of how the replace tag works. So yeah, that's all the stuff I've done over the last couple days. Actually a bit further than I thought it would be at this point. Really, all I have to do is figure out those few issues, and then it'll be ready to release, I guess. Well, let's go ahead and test, because I still haven't tested it yet. The item and gold costs. I don't know if I've broken that stuff yet. So let's in real time see if I've totally fracked that stuff up or not. Let's go ahead and turn this off. What is the... I think it's still potion. Not that one. I have it turned off to false here. Okay, we'll turn this to true. So, actually, these might actually break because Well, no, it's based on the levels that you currently have. So no, it wouldn't. That's right. It's based on the current class levels you have. So it'll still have a cost to them. So that, yeah. So it's update item. I don't know why I called it update item for, but whatever. Yeah, so it's potion still. Let me go ahead and change this. Whoops, I'm going to change it, not something else. Change it to 100. And then I'm going to change items to potion to 10,000. Well, 1,000, I guess. Probably can't go over 999. I'm not sure what the maximum number of items is. That's a good question. Okay, so let's see. Let's see if I've broken this part of the system. I'm pretty sure that I have broken it, but we'll see. I'll be surprised if I didn't break it. Let's put it that way. Well, hey, it actually still works. Interesting. At least for the main stuff here. When we start doing the other parts, we'll see if we really have screwed it up or not. Yep, it removed the gold that we had. Good. Alright, so now, let's go to equip. Or I changed to cleric, and I don't have that set up for... I need to change back to warrior or something. A little bit of everything there. Oh, still there. Nice. I thought for sure I was gonna break this thing. Yep, cool. It works. Wow. That is that's bloody awesome that it works. Oh man, I was expecting to like have to do all kinds of fixing for that, but apparently I know what I was doing, even though I guess maybe I didn't. Got lucky, I guess we'll put it that way. So it looks like it all still works. That's cool. So now we need to figure out what's going on with this. So if we're failing the conditions down here, or no, class over here, so this stuff. So if we're failing else if, let me see, this is part of what? Now I want to find the one below it, this. So where is this dying off at? Not seeing a... So, should be, okay, here. So if... Okay, so if it equals, if this is true... So if this equals that, we are doing this. No. Yes. Okay, so if the class is part of the required classes, okay. So, but it's more up here, that's the thing. It's not so much this. Because we're not printing out stuff for weapons and armor and things. The issue is up here, I think. Like I said, this code is way, way too complicated. So this is inside of this else. This else is else if it's not equipped. If it is equipped... So this part needs to go outside of this else. I mean, it might be this simple. Some of the other stuff was this simple. But I'll be surprised if it's that simple. Then we need to do the same here. Okay. Let's see what that does. Okay, so I'm trying to remember how I made that get screwed up. So equip, clear. Interesting. So this is passing, but this isn't passing. And we have this out here moved B2B. So I moved it to fix this. We also changed some. Okay, so I think I have it figured out. So first what we need to do is I need to undo what I did. And then we need to redo it. But slightly differently. Or, no wait, redo what I did. Crap. That won't let me undo it back to where it was, will it? No. So I overwrote the history. So I need to move this back here. So, if override, else. So if we're doing this out here, we need another check here. Oops. Alright, let's see what that does. Actually, I'm going to bring that back up a second. So, I think I fixed that. So, one restricted item is equipped. Any class with one that's fixed. So I didn't actually write down the issue, that new issue, so I don't know what was causing it. So it was when you changed to a restricted class and then went back to another class. maybe. Okay, so now we got some other issue here. What did I do that broke this? So the only thing I really changed, I think, was these. But it was working earlier. I think it's falling into one of these falses incorrectly. So, alright, so I think it's falling into the else. Yeah. So why are we falling into the else? So this is a weapon, so that's gonna be empty. So this. $28, $31, $32. Oh. Right, so that's actually... So 28 is this. 31 is that. 32 is that. Oh, okay, so, right. That's cell class 46. 31. Okay, something that, I think that restricted class is not getting is the RSTC. JSON dot. 2. Okay, so am I not clearing the temp lists from the ship? Here it's above this. Okay, so 4 switch case. So this all happens in here. Crap, we're not clearing the temporaries. And they're not being set inside of the loop, they're set outside of the loop. Oh, okay. So actually what we should do... make this a little simpler. So actually I don't need to use these. Okay, so... temp object outside of these. Alright, so we go through one loop. This runs temp object, signed, fill it, check it, add to temporary 1 or 2. Every time we go through, it resets, does the same thing over and over again. Once we get to the end of the Rex length, come down here, and if either of these arrays has stuff in it, we populate the restricted class lists for the class ID for weapons or armor. Then we loop through the next key, and we reset those. Okay. I've not tested it with just one of them before, so I think that's why I never caught that issue. Okay, there we go. Got it. Yeah, so when we change that, this isn't getting emptied. Why would that be the case, though? Where does that get cleared at? And why wouldn't it be called? So... well, it'll be the info window. Class info window, yeah, there we go. So, so refresh, process requirements, this, draw Rex, draw required item, clear contents. So where are we calling this that we're not calling it with the other code? So it's been called in the scene, which is fine, it should be. On change class. Calling it on cancel. Because it's being called from the scene change. But when we're selecting any other class than restricted, it's being called. Or at least we're clearing it somehow. This is the class, get at classes, for each. So this is the other one. Starting from here, class information, prototype, clear contents, draw items, cost window, class change stats. Doesn't tell me why. Restricted classes. Are we drawing something out of place? Maybe. This is all in this check requirements. Why didn't I put this in the refresh for? Probably a very good reason. So we're changing to a restricted class, and then when we go to change to another class or check another class, it's displaying incorrectly. Seems to be working now. Seems to be working now. Okay. What's any other problems here? Alright, so now let's try, I'm gonna try putting all this stuff together and see what happens. It's gonna clear this. So I'm gonna go to equip Dorothy, equip, weapon, steel whip, shield, test 6, test 5, and test 4. So now when I do this, Dancer should not be open. Yeah. Because we have these restricted items. Well, also because we have cotton cloak. Let's go and equip cotton cloak. But it should still be locked off because we have test 5. Which should restrict it. Oh, it's open. So it's probably because they're all using even similar functionality in terms of the coding, or it's all because it's built at the same time or something, but I'm not going to fix it. We'll just say that works like that. It's not a bug, it's a feature. It's an undocumented feature. So yeah, okay. Obviously I haven't done very much testing, but let's go ahead and so I'm going to go ahead and move this code over to our plugin test project. Open projects, games, standard demo. Alrighty then. So, we gotta figure out how to set all this up now and make it easy to understand. So, first thing we need to do is we need to add some new classes. Not sure how many. Okay, so we need one. We need one for male, one for female. So, there's two. We need one for each potential. So we need four more for each potential restriction. We need one for a multiple restriction. And then we need one for a replace. Maybe we'll do two. Replace for both genders. Okay. So, now, let's figure out what to call them, and then we have to do all the other stuff for those as well. Oh, and we have to update this crap. So, all these need to get updated. Class. The other thing I forgot to do is I forgot to add in a NPC to give gold, so they couldn't actually test the gold cost system on the previous version of this. Alright, slightly annoying, but not so bad. It was really annoying to go through and update all of my existing classes on my game. All 40 whatever of them doing this. And then this, and this. Okay. And we're going to do something a little more strategic than this whole business up here. I'm going to go ahead and create a an NPC that will allow you to choose. It'll basically allow you to choose the party member and then the class you want to choose to. Class you want to change to, and give you the stuff to do that. In terms of the levels and whatnot. So, like, for example, if you wanted to change to Warlock, it would give you the levels in Class 1 and 5 for the character you chose. And then that'll make it a little bit more easy. We can take some of these NPCs and drop them down to 1 and not have so many not so much NPC spam. So, let's call this one Shadow Knight or something. I don't know, some weird name like that. So we'll do an equip type weapon. Well, we need to create some new equip types. Just kind of show how you can use this, other than how I was doing with default stuff. So, class weapons, or class weapon, I guess, singular, and then a class armor. So this would be like an example for, what the hell did I just change? The first one. That was general armor. This would be like if you had some items you wanted to be able to use for classes. Class armor, specifically. Rather than like a class, like a class item or something. That's true, though. You can't actually add item types. I remember reading, trying to figure that out. The item types are coded into this. You can't do this like this. For some reason, they decided to not do that. Not allow you to do custom armor or custom item types. It's kind of annoying, but I guess it works. I didn't show you the item one. Oh well, I'll show it to you now. Let me set this up. That's right. I need one that has. Ah, crap. I need to add one more class. One that has just the item requirement. Alright, so Shadow Knight. Weapon. So we'll say the Shadow Knight requires just a weapon. Create a few more of this. Alright, so we'll say Sword of Shadows or something. Give it some kind of epically sounding name or something. Unique name. So this will be a class weapon. Price nothing, animation nothing, so we won't be using it for anything. So what was the idea on that? 5. So classes, requirements, class 120, class 2 15, weapon 5 restricted. Well, we'll do one without the restriction, so let's just be like a regular one. Crap, I need to add 2 more now. How many more classes will I need to use? Crap, 2 more. Okay. This one will say class armor. So same thing as this, except instead of weapon, it'll be armor or whatever. Create some more of this. Say flaming helmet. Class armor. Okay, so again, what we'll need to do is we'll need to use class armor on everything so they can equip it. Because you need to be able to equip it on your current class and the class you changed to in order to use it properly. So for classes that are just regular classes, you have to do both the class armor or whatever you're using to define what those types of armor and weapons are for both of them. On the ones that are using the stuff that actually change to, and the requirements, you just need to use either weapon or armor. You don't need to use both unless you require both. So it does require a little more setup, but it gives you a lot more flexibility and a lot more control over what exactly is happening with your class tree. Alright. So I'm also going to say when you have, at least in the way that I am implementing it, I'm saying that if you are a class that has a particular weapon or armor requirement, that we need to do it both for everything, unless we just need to, because you still need to be able to, it needs to be on every class, both of them, because that way if you're this class you can add the other armor or equipment and be able to change to the other one. Or have them both equipped and have them both unlocked or something. So this is the weapon and the armor. I need to change this to armor, and the ID is what? 5. Okay. No, armor. Yeah, 5. Never mind, it is still 5. So now, so we're going to say assassin on this one. Again, we're going to use both. Really. One of those is supposed to be weapon, not armor. So this one's going to be a restricted class. So in this one, we're just going to have a weapon. We're not going to include the armor because, no, I'm talking myself out of that already. Because it's a feature, not a bug that you can change to other classes that are similarly based on restricted or weapon and armor requirements. Otherwise, it'll get really complicated because then we'll have to break the armor and weapon code, checking codes, into 2 separate things. One of them will check just for restrictions, which would happen first, and the second one then would fall underneath wouldn't fall underneath it, but we'd have to have some sort of check that if there is a restriction you can't use it or something. So it's better just to do it the way it's set up now. Even though it's a little more lax, it it's easier, won't be as complex, and it still works the way you think it would, for the most part. So for this guy, we're going to do the same thing, except this is going to be weapon and 5, which will be 6, and restricted. So this is a weapon restriction. So let's say let's say that we call this I guess so class 1 and class 2, we'll still keep it like that. So let's create these 2 items that we're going to need. So assassin's dagger. And alright. So next will be a armor weapon requirement restriction. So we had the, well, it'll be actually a dual no restriction, and then we'll have a dual restriction. So say high assassin, I guess. Or Shadow Fire Knight. Just because. Let's call it Shadow Flames to fire. It makes it sound a little less combining of just the shadow and the fire and the night part. Shadow Flame Knight. So what we'll do is we'll require both of these items. So we'll just grab this. Weapon. Okay. Then this one will be the restricted of the 2 restriction. Sublord Assassin. Let's grab this real quick. So we'll require weapon 5 and weapon 6. We'll also then add the extra levels. I probably should do that on these 2. But I won't. It's already kind of getting a little complicated enough. Alright, so that's double weapon restriction. So, we could make it armor 6, though. Let's do that instead. So Assassin plus Guardian, Lord Assassin. Alright, then we need to do... So we've got a weapon restriction using a dagger, so that we can make that dagger a dual wield, and then with a shield. So we need a another weapon restriction that's not the same weapon as that. This also shows that you can have two different types of restrictions here on the same one. So this both require the same item, same weapon to be equipped. So we need another weapon, and we need 2 armor, headgear and a body armor. So we need 3 more restricted classes. So Raider, Wildling, and Berserker. Okay. So, Raider, we need, this will actually be 7 and 8 then. And then this will be, 7. We'll also need to fix this to have a dual wield ability. Alright, so Berserker's Axe. Class weapon. Okay, armor. And that'll be the body armor. And this will be the, crap, what was that? Wildling. Okay. So there's those. So now we need the replace with the gender. And we need a class that has all the restricted items. Actually, we need 2 of those. So we need 1 more class. We need one that has all of them with the shield, and one that has all of them and with the shield, so that means you don't have the 1 weapon. So, Alright, so let's grab this. Oh, that should have been this one. And then we're going to do this one as the... so the armor, the shield. Viking shield number 6. Okay, skills, weapons, classes. Let's grab this and add another one down here. Number 6. Alright. Next, we need to take all this. Valkyrie, I guess. Along with our Norse bent here. So this one we're going to do a gender. Female. And we're not going to have this. We're going to have weapon 6 restricted. Okay. Now these two are going to be, so we'll say clown and dancer. If anybody's played Ragnarok Online, you'll recognize the male-female thing here. In Ragnarok Online, they had a particular class, 2 classes, clown and dancer, that were gender-specific. I think they were the only 2 that were. So change this to an M, and create a new weapon. So I guess this will be 8, and it'll be replaced instead of restricted. And we'll do this one similar to this, except it'll be armor. I believe that would be 9. Gender female. Okay. And then yeah. All right. So now comes the fun part. So let me do this real quick. So this is we're gonna need to have this so I can do this more effectively. This is like a lot of complicated BS to go through. So, well, that's fine. Novice. Which actually have no requirements. I think that's how I have it set up on mine. Oh, really? It changed to the, damn. It opened up the project as, in the same window. It didn't open up a new project window. Oh, well, we'll just, do this. Okay, how do I have my novice set up? With nothing, okay, nothing in it. I was wondering. So yeah, no requirements at all. Apply. Okay, so novice is nothing. Warrior. Basically just mapping out the tree and what the requirements are. This is for mage. So I have this list like this, then it'll be much easier to build the NPC with than having to come back into here and exit out of all the windows and whatnot. Priest. Captain. Warlock. Cardinal. Mystic. And apostate. Okay, Shadow Knight. Oops. Guardian. Ah, crap. That class name might be too long. Alright, it's gonna be a nightmare of a thing to program, or to vent, but should be doable. Alright. So what we need to do is let me see. So 10 levels, 10 items. Alright, so we need to keep this guy, this NPC, probably over here somewhere. 30 levels. Alright, so these two we can get rid of. Turn off the gold system, item system. Okay, let's put them together. That's fine. This one's fine there. So these two we can combine to one. So the guy... Third will give you items for the item cost system. Last will change, will allow you. Okay. Explanation might be spelled wrong, but whatever. Not writing a novel here, or writing dialogue for an NPC on a demo for a plugin, so. Okay. I think we'll use this guy's NPC. Okay, get rid of that, and just delete this page, we don't need it. Okay, so additional branch. If so, game party dot members so if there's more than one party member, else do something else. So basically it's just saying that if we have more than one party member, then we need to include all the party members that we're including. Who are we giving? So Therese, Marcia, Lucius. And then of course there's whatever this guy's name is. The original guy. Harold. Alright, so let's make this a bit easier. So first thing we'll do is show text. I think it's this guy. People 1. Yeah. So then we want to do a show choices. So 1 Harold Lucius crap. Who was the other bloody one? Therese. Cancel this choice 5. Okay. So V1, let's see if we can do this. So we're going to set up a variable. Okay, it's going to be a different variable then. Say selected actor. Oops. 2, 1. So Teresa's 2, Marcia's 3, Lucius is 4. Okay, and at the end of this, we want to do a class. A self switch. Crap. Delete that, delete that. Copy this, paste it. So I'll switch A, turn this to auto run. Now, delete all that. This is where it gets really interesting. So, I guess we'll start from the top. So, show choices. So, novice, hero, warrior, mage, priest. Actually, no. Then say, crap. Oh my god. Okay, here we go again. Novice. Nakiv. Nice. Hero. Warrior. Mage. Next page. Cancel. So cancel is obviously going to be 6. Alright. Well, next page, show choices. Legendary hero. Warlock. Cardinal. So you kind of get an idea of what's going to happen here. This is the kind of stuff you'd have to do if you're doing the whole eventing process. So this is something what you'd have to do similar to when if you're going to do a class changing system through events. You create this kind of a thing where you have a branching kind of thing like this, choice selection, where you have all the classes you can change to. Then you'd say, okay, I'm going to change to, say, a novice. Or, well, not novice, but I'm going to change to, say, a assassin. So you then look, when you go to one assassin, you then put conditional checks for levels of the different classes you want. And then you do a check for other stuff that you want to add in addition to that. Maybe something to circuit the assassin thing like I did in the code for required restricted items or whatever. And then you would say, okay, change them, do all the other stuff that you need for that. Instead of doing something stupid like this, you can just use this plugin to do it really easily. But this is like this gives you a small little window into the kind of hell that you have to go through to do this without using a plugin, this class changing without using a plugin, if you want to have like a class tree hierarchy structure. So we just did next page. Lord Assassin was the last one. Alright. So Raider. Damn it, how come it... Just really strange. Wildling. Berserker. Maybe it's because before I'm letting go of the tab, I'm holding the shift down, so it's opening up the Steam, in-game Steam in-game overlay, whatever you want to call it. Einherjar. Next page. God, how many of these pages are we going to have to do? Oh, that wasn't even... I think it's just a game not really noticing that we've already released the tab button. Not that I'm too surprised, but... Cancel. Choice 6 is to cancel. Valkyrie. A little ahead of myself there. Go with the cancel instead of dancer. So cancel is 4. Okay, now we've got all this crap. So when novice. Again, we're just setting up for changes and things. So actually, to be honest, let's fix this. We don't need novice. Crap, then we have to change everything. So we'll just do that. We'll have an empty choice for no apparent reason whatsoever. Alright, so in hero, we need to have the hero stuff. So let's do this smartly though, which will make this really more ridiculous. But so if condition actor, ooh, we are gonna have to do this with a script command. So if can we do I wonder if we can do that here. It's a text thing though, isn't it? I don't think we could do that here. Needs a variable command in here. Oh, let's see. Game party dot no. No, we won't. We'll just add the levels in. Doesn't matter, I guess. We could reinitialize, but then that would wipe out what's already there. So if class is no. Yeah, we just need to screw that. Let's change level. Oh, wow. I'm hoping that's going to work. Really hoping. Increase by 10. So I just want to try this. And see if that'll work. If not, then we may have to rethink how we're doing that. Syntax error, wow. What the hell is that? It's an actual bug in the RPG objects. Wow. RPG objects, 9307. So that's my game. Let's change our demo.js. So I'll drag and drop this into here. Objects. 9307, I said. Yeah. Rolling. Well, scrolling, really. (9304) input is pressed button. Result is what? 9307. Result script eval this params. Ah. Okay. So somewhere. Oh, okay. Unexpected end of input. Oh, we have to return if it's true or false. Durr. I think. Nope, it's still throwing out that same issue. Unexpected end of input. It's definitely on this conditional though. So script. Maybe we don't need to put an if there because it's already an if statement. So maybe we just say this. Undefined is not a function. Well, at least we got a different thing now. So undefined is not a function. Is it lowercase members? Game party dot. Ah, it's lowercase. Okay. Alright, so here. Well, I'm selecting it, but nothing seems to be happening. Oh. thing's set to auto run, so obviously you have to kill it off for it to not just totally infinite loop you. Cool, it actually did work. Nice. Alright, so we can continue forward with this idea of mine after we did all this other work. Actually, real quick, I want to check the other one. I want to check the other condition and see if that works too. It should work, but need to check it anyway. If it doesn't work, then we need to fix that. Perfect. Nice. Works perfectly. Awesome. Alright. So now we need to do all this stuff. So that's the easy one, because all we need is level 10. Actually, it's kind of like that easy for all these. So warrior, we just change this to level 20. That's assuming that they're a novice, though. Okay, so now we do have to have a check. So a little simpler than before, though. So check if actor crap. Okay. Check if this is not going the way I wanted it to go. So selected actor. Didn't want to make these crazy, really complicated things, but limited friggin' conditional branch thing is making me do so. So we don't have to put if or anything, just the conditions. Game party dot members. Game party members, the currently selected member, then dot underscore CLS ID. Wait, what is it? It's not that. Game actor. It's, that's Game Battler. It's the parent class to this. Class ID. So the class ID does not equal 1, what should be novice. Then we want to change the class to novice. Ah, oh, come on, seriously? You're killing me here. Alright, so class ID and keep EXP. Damn. So, game party dot hopefully this works in this script box. I'm not sure if it will. Dot change class to 1 and false. Alright. So now to see if this actually works. I'll start Harold off as a hero instead of a novice. Special token illegal. Right, what's illegal? 13, so it's the script. It's the one that we're calling this one. So something. It's probably the V2 thing in that script. I'm betting anything. Damn it. Am I really gonna have to? Game party.members. But why does it work here but not down here? It's both the scripts. Script eval params. It's literally the same spot as the other one. As this. Well, because we're not using we're not using the V2 thing inside of that. That's why. So God, I really don't have to do this, but maybe we just have to. Conditional branch on variable selected actor. Right, there's no if else if case kind of thing in this. So we'd have to do another condition and a condition and a condition and a condition to handle each character. So there'll be 4 branches. Oh my god, this is like super freaking crazy. Actually, it wouldn't be 0, it would be 1. It's not 0 indexed. 3. 4. Well, at least now we can do a conditional branch on actor, in this case Harold, class, novice. I wish you could say is not novice. Like flip this around and say if is not novice. Instead of saying is, because if you do an is, you have to have that empty and then you have to do a, on the else, you have to do the condition. It's really annoying. Change class Harold to novice. Whoops. Alright, instead of being hero, which is what we're trying to change to, we'll change it to mage. Alright. Actually, it's already running. God, this is gonna be annoying as all hell. So mage level 1. So now it's slow. Okay, so that works. So now I can come over here. And then we have hero and mage. Okay. So that works. Now it's just about doing all this crap a billion times. Oh my god, okay. So let's copy this down to here. And then say if Therese and we have to do this for every class too. I'm putting this here because if we have multiple classes to change to, we need to do each one. God, thank God I don't have to do this for mine. I mean, it's just a more structured way of letting them change classes, so you don't have to just like go change it, then go talk to the guy to increase your levels and whatnot. You talk to the character, this NPC, choose the class you want to change to, and the NPC will set you up to change to that class automatically. Okay, what we'll do is this. Okay. Forget this. Whole page. So we're only going to handle the classes that require items. So, these. All this stuff, goodbye. Don't need you. Now I'm going to change this. Of course, now I have to change things around and fix it. Reader. Disallow cancel. Ha. Well, that's interesting. Now, why is there two cancels for? Cancel branch. Oh, because option 2 is called cancel. Gotcha. Alright, so now we have our reassessed, reassigned things here. So Shadow Knight, weapon 5. Alright, again, say, you gained a shadow. The hell's it called? Sword of Shadows. So for the knight, it's armor, so delete that. Flaming helmet. So assassin, weapon 6. Assassin's dagger. Okay. Actually, we can do with this because it's a lot easier to check for it. We can do a conditional branch on weapon Sword of Shadows. So if party has it, you already have just so we're not like overloading the inventory with stuff when they're doing all this, all their other checking and whatnot. Flaming helmet. Let's turn that off. So, Guardian. It's Viking shield, I believe. Okay, next page. So, Shadow Flame Knight. So this one we'll need to have 2. Actually, since we already have the... So it's 5 and 6. Weapon 5, armor 5. So the first 2, Shadow Knight, Shadow Knight and Fire Knight. This will be on action button now. Lord Assassin is 6 and 6. Assassin and Guardian. So Raider is a different item altogether. So Armor 7. Or pillaging leathers, not raiding leathers. Pillaging. Again, pillaging is probably not spelled right, but spelling is not important. Got pillaging leathers. Wildling Helm. So next is Berserker, weapon 7. Berserker's Axe. Alright, Einherjar. Wow. So weapons 6 and 7. Oh no. 7 and 8. And then 6 and 7 for the armor. So weapon 7, Berserker's Axe. Oh no, 6, 7, 8 on armor. My mistake. Armor. So. Yeah, so Lord, Assassin, Raider, and Wildling. We just pull it off of there. Lord, Assassin. Okay. Valkyrie is 6, 7, then 7 and 8. Weapon 6, Lord Assassin. Oh. Okay, then clown is a weapon. And then armor for the dancer. Dancer's dress. Alright, let's copy and paste. I do want to do an auto run here. So switch A. So switch A off. Show text, actor, no, people 1, 3. Well, 1, 2, it's 0 indexed. So show choices, levels, class items, and then cancel. Choice 3. So levels, alright. Actually, yeah, let's show the level up. Class items, switch this to A and cancel nothing. So this is set to auto run, right? Yeah. Okay. Apply, okay. Alrighty then. Let's go test this out. Cool, it does work. Alright, so that's all we really need to do then, for that. Let's see, guys to the left. We'll give you levels or class items and add more party members. One little change there. Okay. Now, oh. This would be over. Alright. And I also want to set up a loop here. Delete that. Okay. So show choices. So overview. Crap. Well, it's not. Class restrictions will be in the requirements. Whoops. Weapon requirements, armor requirements. Replace option. And I think that's I think that's all of them. One thing I need to do before we continue, thing I forgot to do. I believe it's gender M and F. Yeah. Really could go either way with Lucius. Not sure if it's a guy or a chick. I'll assume he's a. I'll just make him a male in the demo. Okay. Now back to this. So, this is going to be interesting. Very much a lot of text in here. Alright, plugin overview. This plugin was designed to allow you to create a class of requirements and features without needing to create monstrous okay. What else do we have? Gold cost. Okay. So this will be features in v1.3.0. Let me grab this. All right. Okay, so now how to use the plugin. I guess we'll cover it there. All right, so to add a class level requirement for class 110, I think. the event, the feature. Alright, so now I'll take you back up to here. So next, gold cost system. Let's see, the gold cost. That's not gonna. For the system. Class changer gold cost on. Use off instead to deactivate. The formula to modify gold cost is available through a plugin parameter. Modification through a plugin parameter. So basically I just want to take all this and just want to duplicate down here and change a few things. The item cost. First, now we have one extra thing to add about. Item cost system. I think it's always potion. So class changer, cost item, item ID. Or change item, that's what it is. Change item. So, item requirements. Requirements that for a class. How did I put it on the... Use the following note tag structure. So, requirements, item, so that's one thing I forgot to do. I didn't set up an item-based class. We'll say, what do we call this? I'm gonna Dragon Ball Z out here. Oh, we don't even need that because it's based on a. So, requirements class 110 class 320 item. I have no clue. Item what? Item 5, I guess. Oops. So item 5. Okay. So now consider the requirements for Z Fighter. So I think that's pretty much all I'll just put in there for that. I want to make sure it actually works. I'm pretty sure it works, but I didn't actually show you it working before, so let me just pop in here and try it. Definitely not going to talk to myself, because if I do so, we're going to get stuck in an infinite loop. Haven't added any breaks in yet to break that loop. So, levels... Okay. Oh, I'm a mage. Duh. Oh wait, we should be able to change to a novice. There's no requirements. Because that apparently doesn't work right now. Well, it should. What the hell? Let's fix that right now, because that's kind of ridiculous. So... if requirements is 0... I thought I handled this. Not that one. This one. So... that's our class. I want that one. I want the... here we go. So... yeah, the actor can change. I did do that. So what's the issue? Oh, maybe this? Another case of a issue I thought was going to be more extensive. That's just a really simple fix. Oh, that didn't work. Nope. Alright, so... requirements... well, here's the issue, though. Player can class change. So where's this being called from? Don't know why I'm returning for. We shouldn't need to. Yeah, we're not using that for anything anywhere. Oh, no, wait, it's for the every. No, never mind, that's right. It's for the every loop. Okay, so I don't know why it's not working with... at least the command window, but it's not working with the list because of how we're populating it. Class window, class list, draw items. No. No, it's based on pediatric and change, yeah, so no, it shouldn't be a... Huh. Is there a... Well, if there was an error, it would actually be showing. Or it wouldn't be showing, it would be not allowing us to work. It's no issue. Alright, well, let's do some debugging. So, I want to throw some breakpoints in here and here. True. And then also up here. Alright, so first off, let's see what, index, nice. Index. Come on, jeez. 0, okay, that makes sense. 1. Now, 1 is not right. Yeah, it's not hitting any of these. So it's not calling requirements or a player can change? That doesn't make any sense. No, it does make sense. Because we don't have a requirement tag on mouse. So if an object note is null, so else. Then let's change novice to have or no, let's have no alright, if it's null, nothing in it. Alright. Alright, I'm gonna throw breakpoint in here and here. Because it might not equal 0, but it might still be blank. If that makes any sense. So I want to do a index is 1. Yeah, the rect is it's showing that it has an empty object in it. So which one do I want to use? This one, I guess. JavaScript check for empty objects. Right, keys don't list. So it's saying that's not false though. What's in it then? Shouldn't be anything. Type class. Oh, 2. Okay, gotcha. Okay, here we go. Still though, it says it's false. So that didn't work. Oh. Nope, still false. So would that work? Didn't think there was. So name an object if object has own property name, return false, true and true. Well, type. No, it doesn't work, I guess. It doesn't catch the ones that do have something. What if we change this to... I'm gonna change the check to null. Instead of like over checking if it's null. I don't think that'll cause any problems. But who knows? New game. Okay, still not working. Alright, let's do this. Alright. How can Rex not be null? Where are we? This one. Null. But aren't they supposed to have... Something doesn't look right to me from a larger standpoint than that. Let's change it back to mouse. So the JSON string of that didn't look right. novice because I was already novice once. What about classes that don't have requirements, as I'm considering here? Because you should be able to have a class that does not have any requirements at all. Maybe we just need to go a little bit more. So I catch that first non-class. It's just saying a null here. And there's no requirements as far as I can tell. Support not enabled and hosted. Seriously. This still doesn't look right. Doesn't look like there's any ID here for these. There has to be because it's working correctly. CLS ID is 1, but it shows empty still. That's not right. Of course now it's 2, which is right. So this isn't working right then, this code we put in. Because it's not null, it's not undefined. It's just empty. check for it up here instead. So yeah, that's why I was coming up nulls, because we're pushing this. I bet if we pushed null this time it would work. Or set it to null and check for null would work this time. We'll use no Rex because that's what's there, so easiest, won't have to change anything else. And it should work. This time. Or wait, if you want to try this, we should be not novice. Be the best thing to do. Can't test if the novice no tag on novice is working if we're already on novice. Alright, talk to myself and no Rex. Aha, there we go. Works. Perfect. Okay, now it's working. Oh, jeez. Okay. Let me add that into here. If you want to create a class that does not have any requirements, just leave the notes box blank. So if you're using another plugin that does something with classes that requires tags, that would cause a problem. I think in the future I'll make it say if there's no requirements case. So like, say something like we go through, we check this, and say, we'd essentially kind of preempt all this and say on the split, if there is no, we do a loop on the split, I guess, or somehow we'd we'd have to do a loop on the split and see if there was any the opening tag, the requirements opening tag. If it wasn't there, then that would be an indication that you're not using the requirement system for that class, but it wouldn't break this if you're using something that uses the note tags on the classes too. But for now, I'm not going to do it that way. Alright, so what were we doing before I was like, I better test this. Oh, items. Right. I was going to test out the item thing, then I realized, wait a second, we haven't actually done the no requirement either yet. So yeah, we tested that and it was working. Or no, did we get that far? No, we didn't get that far because I was not set to novice, so I couldn't change to novice. And that's when I realized that wasn't working. Okay. Now it's just the item system. Okay, all that just to do the item requirement. So let's go ahead and talk to this guy first. Levels, okay. So, I guess we have to be level 20 for warrior. Oops. Then for that we need level 20 warrior. Well, that's interesting. Level 10 novice, but level 20 warrior, but we need a level 20 novice to get to warrior at all. Okay, that's interesting. I'll fix that. Oops, wrong selection. Okay, there we go. And there you go. That's how that works. Pretty straightforward. Alright, so, let's change it to 30. Change it to 30. Makes more sense that way. Gender requirements. Gender requirements allow you to lock off certain classes to specific genders. For this to work, for this feature to work, 2 note tags are needed. First, you must place a note tag in the note box for each character to define their gender. So requirements gender M or F. Use M for male and F for female. Then in the requirements, the class Alright, and then we'll do the example. Take the clown class, for example. Clown class requirements. What else do we need with that? It's not really apples to apples comparison, because there's these. It's gonna be. We're gonna mention this twice, but that's fine. So classes clown. Class 215. Actually, I'll use it probably 3 times. Well, maybe not. We'll see. We have the other with dancer for the other replace. Gender M restricts characters. So weapon requirements. And then we have the replace and restrict options. Weapon requirements are requirements that require. Oh wow, that's like, and literally in every other word is requirement of some nature. requirements require. The character that is changing their class to have a specific weapon equipped. Up to 2 classes can be find a weapon that's 4 lines, okay. So weapon so I need to go grab those. There are other feats you can add to use other features, but these will be covered later. So I'm just going to take all this stuff and we're just going to change out a few things for armor requirements. Not the Shadow Knight. It's the Fire Knight. So next up, restriction option. Okay, 2 more to go. We're almost done. The weapon and armor restriction system is an advanced feature of the weapon and armor requirement system. to classes meeting the following criteria. So any class the character has been previously. Any class that has a weapon or armor restriction or requirement for which player has an equipped weapon or armor. Any other class which has a weapon or armor restriction for which the character has I think I put it better on the original. So any class that has a weapon for which the player has an equipped. I guess that is what I said before. Okay. So to create a weapon or armor restriction requirement, use the armor or weapon requirement tag formation topics. So, weapon ID restricted. Let me grab one of the classes here. So Raider, we'll use. Let's use let's use this one as an example because it's like crazy. Any class can have up to for restrictions. 2 weapon, 2. I'll put it down here. 2 weapon, 2 armor, or 1 weapon, 3 armor. The same number For an example of the first scenario, I guess. So the chose on Herger, not Valkyrie, right? Yeah, and Einherjar. Then Herjar class requirements. The Einherjar class requirements. And then and then Assassin and Guardian. For examples of the second scenario, consider the following. So Raider, Berserker, and Guardian, Assassin and Guardian. So, one last note. Actually, that doesn't. We don't need to put that there because it, it makes sense. Because they all apply here for this. All apply. All class requirements apply for this. So then replace option. Okay. And we'll just modify what we need to here. So replace it's an advanced feature. Existing requirements for a class with the weapons and or armor listed in the class's requirements. note tag to create a placement note. Tag use the following. So this would be where dancer or clown would come in. We'll use dancer since we used clown before. Consider the dancer class requirements. If the character has the armor designated or specified in the armor requirements, then but does and it's equipped. This may change in the future. Just gotta put that in there. Okay, that's everything. Now what we want to do is we want to do a break loop on the cancels. Okay, let's go check all this stuff out. So I'll check all these and make sure that they make sense and they're displaying correctly. That should really be feature, not system. Should be 2 weapons, 2 armor. Fix that too. Okay, cool. So. I'll need to, well, actually there's also, where was it, this one? But then this one I need to, so I just copy that down there too, so this feature. Okay, I think that's pretty well done. All the cancels have breaks. So, levels, items, party members, other information. This sets the potion up for the first one. Enables the gold cost, enables item cost, and allows you to change the items the next one. Or it gives you the item, 10 of the item, and then allows you to change the item. Okay. Let's make this auto run. Control self switch off. What did I use? I want to use, I can't remember what I said over here with this. You gained, okay. Do you want gold or items? Conditional, no, select choices. Crap. Come on, so annoying. Okay, time for another little funny thing to put in here. So which one is it? It's not people. Oh, here, this one. That's right. Actor. It's an actor too. All right. And the last will allow you to change item for the cost item system. All right. We'll test that real quick. Oh, that was interesting. So if give item equals 1. So what the hell? I thought this was supposed to set the give item. Okay, nuked before I looked. Luckily I have a backup of a backup of a backup, and no, it's the wrong one, no. Why do you do this to me? Because I didn't update this, or... Oh, because it's inside of here, that's why. Well, that's the game. I don't want the game. I want the project. Extract files. Ay, ay, ay. So much stuff from all the friggin' audio files. Space, that is. That's where all that comes from. And with a proper game, that's like maybe a couple gigs worth of like friggin' audio. Well, I guess if you're gonna do it, you'd take out the audio files that you weren't using, I suppose. Please be an updated version. No. Why aren't those there? What the hell? Is there another... That's what happens when you like have so many things floating around, don't know which folder's which. Demo. Oh, this is like the game. How about the project? Which is the one I'm modifying right now. Damn. Did I just open it twice? Oh wow, I did. Way to go. Enter brain. You can open the same file twice and have RPG Maker MVception going on. I think what I was doing with this is that I was taking it back and assigning it like to an ID or something, because we're using an ID here, we're not using the name. So I think maybe we just need to change this from name to ID. I think it's just ID. I could be wrong though, but we'll find out. I'm almost certain it's just ID. Yeah, just ID. Okay. So that works now too. Alright, everything works. Good. And makes sense. Except for this NPC, which isn't actually moving. And myself, my clone over here, that's not moving either. Stepping... Alright. So, that's that, I guess. So, add to archive, GOL, last change demo underscore v 1.3.0. Should have done this in the first place, but best compression, dictionary size. Let's try dropping that a bit. Okay. I guess I restarted my computer since the last time. Got updating the whatchamacallit's gonna be a nightmare. So I think we'll just end the stream now. Last time I showed you me updating the GitHub stuff, but I don't think I'll do that this time. Just because it's going to be like, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours to update that bloody thing. So thanks for watching the live stream if you did. If you're watching this on YouTube afterwards, you have any comments, questions, leave them below. And if you haven't done so already, I would appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel. And I will see you next time I do some live streaming, which actually might be not too long from now. Maybe later today I'll do some Neo streaming, or maybe some streaming for SO3.